Long before the dollar, the pound, or the yen, humanity worshipped another god, belief itself. Every civilization began with a story, a shared illusion that gave value to things that did not exist. The first coins were not just metal, they were faith made tangible. People did not trade silver or gold, they traded trust. And like any religion, the power of money depended on one thing: everyone believing the same story. In temples and markets, priests and merchants spoke the same language, the language of value. Over time, coins became sacred symbols, bankers became the new priests, and debt became our prayer. Gold was never just a metal. It was a mirror, reflecting everything humanity worshipped: light, eternity, and power. The ancients called it the flesh of gods. Pharaohs filled their tombs with it, believing gold would carry their souls into the next world. But gold was more than sacred. It was useful. It did not rust, did not fade, did not die. In a world where everything decayed, gold was the closest thing to eternity. And so, humanity crowned it as their god, a symbol of value so pure that even kings bowed before it. Empires rose around gold and fell when they ran out of it. The temples changed, but the worship remained. From altars to banks, from priests to financiers, the god of gold ruled on.
Gold was heavy. It limited ambition. But belief had no weight. The world needed something lighter, faster, infinite. And so came credit, faith without metal, value without weight. The first bankers became prophets of this new gospel. They promised wealth through signatures, not silver. To borrow became to believe. Paper replaced gold, and debt replaced devotion. A new temple rose, not of stone, but of ledgers. The prayers were contracts, the rituals were interest, and salvation came through repayment. Humanity no longer bowed to the god of gold, but to the invisible god of credit, a god made of promises.
When belief alone became currency, someone had to become its priest. Thus was born the Church of Central Banks, temples of trust built on invisible foundations. Their power was not gold or paper, but confidence. When they spoke, markets moved. When they whispered, nations trembled. They promised stability, salvation through control. And humanity believed, because belief had become habit. Interest rates became commandments. Liquidity was their holy water, and inflation their silent confession. The high priests wore suits instead of robes, but their sermons shaped the fate of billions. Every financial crisis was a crisis of faith, and every rescue a modern-day miracle. Money was no longer backed by gold, but by belief itself, and that made it the most fragile god of all.
Every empire learns the same lesson. Prosperity built on debt is not prosperity. It is the illusion of wealth borrowed from the future. When gold was gone and faith became money, the machine had to keep spinning faster and faster just to stay alive. Governments borrowed to fund wars. Corporations borrowed to buy their own shares. Families borrowed to live the lives they could not afford. And the bankers, the new priests, blessed it all. Debt became sacred. Growth became worship. But like all faiths built on excess, it demanded sacrifice. Inflation to erase the sins, austerity to purify the balance sheets. Each crisis was a sermon, each bailout a ritual. And when the numbers no longer made sense, they changed the meaning of numbers. This is the paradox of the debt machine. It must grow or it dies. But the more it grows, the more fragile it becomes. Every empire funds its glory with promises until those promises become its chains.
When money dies, it does not die quietly. It drags with it the stories that held society together: trust, trade, and time itself. When coins lose meaning, so do promises. When numbers lose value, words follow. History calls it collapse, but collapse is only the moment belief breaks. Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe, Rome. Every era has buried its god of money, each with the same funeral rites: chaos, hunger, and denial. In the streets, paper money becomes ash. Gold disappears into vaults, and faith, once infinite, evaporates overnight. People trade bread for safety, obedience for order. In every collapse, the same prayer is whispered: make the numbers mean something again.
Every collapse carries within it a seed, the seed of renewal. When money dies, value does not vanish, it simply changes form. People return to what cannot be printed: land, skills, community, trust. History shows that after every reckoning, humanity rewrites its ledgers and rediscovers what value really means. Rome fell, and Europe rose from its ruins. Weimar collapsed, and new orders emerged. Each reset is painful, but it is also necessary. It burns away illusion, leaving only what is real. And so the cycle turns again. Faith rebuilt, systems reborn, until the next age of forgetting. Perhaps the next reset will not be about money at all, but about meaning. For the true wealth of a civilization is not what it prints, but what it remembers.
In the end, money was never about paper or metal. It was a mirror, reflecting what humanity believed about itself. When we trusted one another, money was trust made visible. When we grew fearful, money became power. And when we worshipped it, money became God. Every empire, every age has written its gospel in gold and ink and watched it fade with time. But perhaps the true story of money is not one of greed, but of belief. A reminder that the value of anything begins not in what we hold, but in what we choose to believe. The religion of money is the religion of humanity itself. Fragile, magnificent, and eternal.